everybody, and welcome to Back to Front with me, your host, Sally Bolton. This is a show where we get to turn the tables on Midnight McBride. We get to ask a series of questions which he is not allowed to see prior to filming, so anything goes.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Patrick!
Yes.
How are you feeling?
Nervous.
Are you?
A little bit, yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
Have you done your hair and makeup for today?
I have, yes. Yes. I am actually. The first time in, 40 odd shows.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit nervous because I'm not in charge.
I know.
Yeah.
So what was your intention behind this before we start?
Well, although when I do a show, sometimes I talk more than the guest anyway, which is probably evident.
Do you?
Yes, I do, yes. But it wasn't my idea, actually. Sandy Holt, Wesley Dyson, Liam Brown all came back to me and said, how's about we flip the tables? And I don't know whether you suggested it to me or not, but then what I did is I discussed with the video editor which guests we thought would be the best to do this with, and it was the ones that asked.
Right.
You know, the guests that when we did the show, they were very easy to edit. We felt like they flowed easily. And the guests that I thought would push the boundaries a little bit, be a bit cheeky, and it'd be fun. So I thought, yeah. And yeah, I'm up for it, whatever.
That sounds
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
That was going to be my question, is how did you choose then the guys that are going to interview you? Because you've chosen four, haven't you, altogether?
Yeah. There's four. There's Liam Brown, Wesley Dyson, Sandy Holt, and yourself. And either they were very, very easy shows to do. The last show I did with you, which was 4 or 5 shows ago, was virtually no editing whatsoever because the conversation flowed. I spoke, you spoke, I spoke, you spoke, and it was a lot of fun. So I thought that'd be good. And also I want somebody that's comfortable in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And it's a trial, so you might as well make it easy at the beginning. You know, get the people you think it's going to be easiest with. And Liam, I had loads of fun doing the shows with Liam. I've done 2 shows with Wes as well, and they've been a lot of fun. And he knows me probably better than most. And
I believe so. Some interesting stories going to come out there, do you think, Patrick?
We'll see how that goes, yeah. And Sandy, when I did the interviews with Sandy, when I did the first interviews with Sandy, everybody said that it was, you know, they really easy. It just flowed. So yeah, it was sort of by natural evolution, I suppose. It was just easy to pick the first 4 to go with and see how it goes.
Have you had any divas yet?
Any divas?
This isn't even on my question list. I'm just really interested.
I can't really say, can I? But yes.
You have to remain diplomatic.
Yeah, I'd say I'd have 2 divas that have been on here were, and by diva, I just mean people that maybe come in and think they're going to tell me how they're going to do the show, and it's my show.
My show.
Yeah. No, I've been really lucky. I've had loads of nice guests.
Yeah.
It's a great platform, and in the process of doing this and doing what I love, I get to meet all these amazing people. So I'm the luckiest guy in the world.
Yeah.
You know?
How cool is that, though? Not many people can say that.
Yeah. I come in here. I don't know how long it'll last for. I'm winging it. I never know what's around the corner. But for now, I'm okay. I'm good for a while.
Yeah.
And I'll keep coming in. The money will run out at some point, but, you know, the universe seems to provide things just when you need them.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I come in here each day. There's a lot of it that's repetitive, the editing, the edit notes, the social media side of it. And if I'm doing 2 or 3 shows a week, it's massively time consuming. And I've got to say that can be a bit of a grind sometimes.
Yeah.
But the filming part, I love it.
Yeah.
And there may be a point where Noel, the editor, can take on more, involving actually running the channel and things, and then I can just film. And if I can do that, every day will be bliss.
So what's the big dream then, like, with all of this? Have you got one?
I have a short-term dream, I suppose, and that's initially, and it wasn't why we set out, and it's not the end game, but it'd be very nice if this channel became monetized. And I don't know if you've watched, but over the last 7 days, the subscribers have gone up from 129. I think we're on 360 in 7 days.
Wow, that's amazing.
I've spoke to somebody, and I'm hoping that, you know, within the next couple of months, we may end up getting monetized. That's what we're hoping for. And that's not the goal, but it'd be a very nice, you know, spin-off. It'd be nice to get a little bit of something back in from doing it, you know.
Yeah.
That'd be good. The end game, there isn't one. It's like with the book. You don't write a book because you want to make money at it. You do it because you love it. It's just, I love doing it. I enjoy it. I like meeting the people I meet, and I'll just see where it goes.
Brilliant. Well, this is your first one, so shall we crack on?
All right. Yeah.
So what I decided was, Patrick, I've put a lot of thought into this.
Okay.
And we both know, because we've done 2 shows together now, haven't we? You quite like a little bit of debate. You quite like to get your voice across.
If it's something I'm passionate about,
right,
then I'm on it.
That's it. So I thought it's a game of 2 halves, really, today.
Okay.
So the first part, we're going to go a little bit more serious.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, look, we've had quite a few chats now. We're both quite cheeky and like a bit of a laugh. So the second half is a little bit more light-hearted.
Okay, that sounds good.
Does that sound all right? So I'm going to go straight in. Question number 1. So, are you ready?
Yeah, go on.
Boris Johnson.
Yes.
He's just about to come around this corner and join us.
Okay.
He's going to sit down, socially distanced, away. What would you like to say to him?
Quit your job. Quit. Leave now. Stop what you're doing. You've mismanaged things. Whether you take on board or believe the official narrative or not, either way, even assuming that you believe everything you've been told, it's been terribly managed. He's the guy at the top. In theory, he's in charge. It's been a shambles and he should resign. That's what I'd say. There wouldn't be very many nice words, you know. I know he might seem on the face of it a very likeable, nice guy, and I think that's why he got the job, not because he's of his prowess and he's a fantastic leader. People liked him.
Did they?
I think a lot of people did. Yeah. He's like a bit of a bumbling fool, but likeable, you know. But that's putting that to one side. We've got bigger fish to fry here. You know, it's important what happens. History is being determined every day that passes now. It's critical what happens over the next weeks and months. And there's other people that could do it better, in my opinion.
Who would those people be?
Well, me, obviously. I don't have those answers, but for a start, there's politicians making decisions who aren't qualified to do so with this current situation. And if you've heard Dr. Mike Yeadon speak, he's done a couple of brilliant speaks. He's considered to be one of the eminent scientists, one of the world-leading experts in this field.
Yep.
And he quite openly says all of SAGE should be fired immediately. They've been mismanaged. We shouldn't be in lockdown. We shouldn't be wearing masks and we shouldn't be socially distancing. It's not effective. This is what he says. And he's not been challenged on it because, to be honest, I think the other scientists know he's the daddy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nobody wants to take him on because he is, you know, the man when it comes to this. And so who they are, I don't know, but people like Mike Yeadon should be involved because this is their playing field. This is what they know. You've got politicians making decisions and not very good ones, I don't think.
So there is this video, and we were talking about this before.
Yeah.
I mean, I've actually seen the video. I've not watched it all the way through. But why do you think then that he's not highly involved in what's going on at the moment?
Well, because it doesn't serve their agenda. They want people who are yes men. They want people. I believe let's say that there's a virus, and let's say that this virus, you know, is causing a lot of problems, killing people and stuff. Okay, let's take that narrative. Then the way it's been dealt with, I think, has been used to serve political means, you know, the way it's been approached. And the people that have been chosen to make these decisions, people on the SAGE panel, for example, people like this, they've been chosen because they're the yes men, you know. He's not a yes man. He cares about the people. If you watch the video, he's clearly compassionate. He cares about what happens. And he's at great risk to himself and his career and stuff. He stood up and said, no, this is not right. It shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
And I salute him. You know, what a guy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's an interesting video and recommend anyone to go and just at least watch it with an open mind.
Yeah, this is what I put a post on Facebook and I love everybody.
Yeah.
Wearing a mask, not wearing a mask, what your beliefs, that doesn't change how I feel about everybody. The people in my circle, the people around me, I love them. And I choose to spend my time with them. I don't spend my time with people I don't like. You know, I love them all. And the post I put on said basically, it doesn't matter what you think. You've got to look at both sides of the argument. That's exactly what I did. I've not got it all figured out. I don't have all the answers. And so I have to look at both sides of the coin. You need all the information to make an informed decision.
Yeah.
And whatever your opinions, this guy, if you listen to him, you'd understand that he cares. You'd also listen that he's clearly one of the most highly qualified people to make these decisions. 35 years as a scientist, as a world-leading scientist, 20 years, I believe, as a director or CEO of Pfizer.
That's right.
Very prominent in the industry. an expert in respiratory issues, respiratory problems, and expert in viruses and the transmission of viruses and all these kind of things. Anybody should watch this. Make your own mind up, but at least see what he has to say.
Yeah,
absolutely. Because you might be surprised. I think a great thing is if you consolidate and you think you've formed your opinion, this is the first question. And I was hoping we weren't going political, but it's done now.
No, told you I was going in hard first.
If you're going to form an opinion and then you're not willing to change it and you become rigid, then everything in this world, you have to remain flexible, because if you think you've figured something out and you think you know it all, you know nothing. You've got to be willing to change. Things change, things evolve.
Yeah.
So I have formed an opinion on the information that I've experienced and read and consumed over the last few months. But my opinion might change. You have to remain open, because people make mistakes, people get things wrong.
Yeah.
But in order for that to be the case, you have to keep the door open, and you have to keep looking at what's out there.
Absolutely.
And so if you watch this video, I think it's on YouTube, and if you tap in Unlock, because Unlock is the actual people that filmed it.
Right.
Unlock Mike Eden, and it's about 30 minutes long. Well, if you've got to lose, watch it, have a look. And if you don't want to, then that's fine too. But it definitely had an impact on me.
Definitely. So, talking of Facebook post,
Yes.
Tell me about Dick.
Oh, yes, right, yes. There was a post, yes, and I won't go through the whole post, because it could be offensive, and it definitely wasn't meant to be offensive. It was meant to be funny. But yeah, the post was about something. If you do this, if you do that, then this guy was called Dick, and at the end it says, "Don't be a dick." And it was supposed to be funny. That's all it's supposed to be. I think I say in the post, it's really important sometimes when your world's being turned upside down and there's lots of trauma and you're experiencing dark times, humour and laughter is sometimes the thin thread that keeps you sane. You really need to be able to laugh at things. Don't take everything too seriously, especially when things get dark. And then underneath, somebody put a comment, and I went, "But I still love Dick." And what I meant was that I still love everybody, and of course that got misinterpreted. And it got a lot of likes. But yeah, I put, "I still love Dick." That was,
I think we'll
wasn't, I posted it first, and then I thought, oh no.
Oh, no.
I realised what it actually read. But then it had started, all the following comments had come, so you just have to let it roll.
It was kind of too late by that point, wasn't it, Patrick?
Yeah, exactly.
You know for next time though, don't you?
Yeah. If I'm going to love Dick, then I maybe need to word it differently. Yeah. Oh, dear.
Oh, dear. Right. Well, I
don't know if I want to continue with this line of questioning.
Moving swiftly on.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about your past too much, because I think possibly some of the other guests will do that.
It'll get covered, yeah.
Yeah. But you and I have a common interest in training.
Yep.
So I know that you used to be a bit of a hench bodybuilder in the past.
I was a lot bigger then, yeah. I was 15 plus stone, and I pumped up on steroids, and I was, I did weights all the time. Yeah.
And obviously you've now transitioned into ultra marathon running.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So I just want to know a little bit about kind of that journey, really, because that's quite it's quite extreme, is it, going from one to the other? So just really, because we're both interested in training, I'd like to know a little bit more about that.
I think the way that went was, I was always about how I looked.
Yeah.
That was my priority.
How old were you back then?
Well, I started training probably in my 20s, and then I started taking steroids when I got to, I don't know, late 20s, 30. I took steroids for about 10 years.
Yeah.
And my priority was to get as big as possible, which was difficult, because you're training and all week you put 4 pound on, and then you go out and party for 2 or 3 days and you'll lose 3 pound. So I should have been 20 stone, but I never quite got there because I did a lot of partying as well. But then, you go through, I went through my nervous breakdown, midlife crisis, whatever you want to call it. I realised that probably the steroids were not where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
I wanted to get healthy, and I became more about the mind rather than the physicality and the body, and more about how I felt and being healthy than how I looked, which a lot of people go through that transition as they get later on in life. And it all changed. And then, so now I do the ultra running. The problem is I don't do any strength and conditioning, which I need to start doing, because there's a balance. Somebody told me, I'm talking to somebody very recently, and you know who they are, that one of the biggest things that I need to figure out is balance, because I'm extreme.
Right.
I do everything to extreme. Even now, it may be good extremes, the show, writing a book, ultra running. They're all healthy addictions, you might say, but I'm still extreme. Mm-hmm. And if anybody knew with this show, I come in, this morning I was here at 4:00. Some nights I go home at 11 o'clock at night. I'm trying not to work weekends, but I had to work Saturday and Sunday last weekend. It's
not going great then at the moment,
well,
is it?
It's going well. It's just the healthy addictions, and so you move in that direction.
Yeah.
So the ultra running, now it's not about how I look, it's about, it becomes meditative. You go into an endurance sport, once you're an hour in, you focus on your breath, all my problems disappear, I become fully present in the moment, using the realm of the five senses. I'm in nature. It's just beautiful, so that was the transition. My mind changed, and then my outward world changed, and that included what I was doing with my body.
Yeah.
That all goes together.
So you just mentioned the word balance there. Like, for you now going forward, like, what does that look like? And have you got a next challenge in mind?
Yes, of course. Yeah, I
always
constantly expanding and growing. That's how you evolve. You get outside your comfort zone. I talk about Ironman. I did Ironman for the first time, the only time, but I did it.
When was that?
In 2017, I think. And I did the Ironman. I say the first time because once I'd done it, for me then, it wasn't a challenge anymore. You can do something and you can improve your time. You can get better and better. But you pretty much got it in the bag. You can do it. So what you're doing for me is you're polishing it.
Yeah.
A challenge is when there's a very real possibility of failure, when you're getting well outside your comfort zone. And that's what I did. That's why I went to ultra running, because out the Ironman, the weakest discipline for me was the running. So I thought, okay, that's what I'm going to do next.
Yep.
What I'll do next is, I'm hoping to next year anyway, if I can find the time. It's all about balance, because there's a lot of training. With ultra running, you're not training half an hour every morning. You've got to put 4 or 5 hour runs in, and regularly, a few times a week. But I'd like to do a much longer run, going 215 miles and above. That's what I want to do.
What, in one go?
Yeah. The thing is, though, when you go over 100 miles, if you do 100, you just do it in one hit, boom. When you go to 180, 215 or higher, then you will factor in some sleep. So say you did it in 4 days.
Yeah.
On the second night, you might have 2 hours sleep. On the third night, you might have 2 hours sleep. So you might have, say, 4 hours sleep over 4 days. You factor in a small amount of rest.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's one, I suppose.
It's quite extreme, though, isn't it, to be fair?
Well, yeah, but that's it. I want to know, can I do that? And I want to test myself. And it's when you're in the dark places, when you really, really push the boat out, and you overcome those fears and anxieties and those negative thoughts, that's when you're really growing as a human being.
So that's very much mind.
It's all
then,
about
isn't
the mind.
it?
It's all about the
Yeah.
mind. You get to a certain level with ultra running, and then beyond that, you can improve. You'll get your cardio better. You can get a little bit quicker. But to be honest, once you get to a place where you've got a sustainable rhythm that you can keep going, then you're going to be in pain. Can you override the pain with the power of your mind? That's the question. Can you push through? And if you can do that, you'll probably be a good ultra running.
Amazing. Has sport always been part of your life? I know we spoke about this because obviously you've asked me the same question, but has sport always been quite a big part of your life then?
Yeah. I mean, obviously I did a bit of running at school, football, rugby. Football when I used to go to the pub, and this is funny, we used to go in a pub called Fanny's, and on the football top it said "Real men come in Fanny's." on the football, it's hilarious, isn't it? So that was funny. And then, as I was younger, I used to fight all the time. Fight.
Right.
I'd get drunk. I'd have little tolerance. I'd always say I'd never start trouble, but what now would seem a small act, like not saying thank you or spilling my pint or something, when I was in my 20s, that for me was justification to beat you up, and that happened every weekend. I was fighting all the time, and anybody that knows me knows, you've probably seen it at some point. I'd snap at nothing, and I was angry.
Yeah.
From that then, I learned that discipline and martial arts was the way forward with that, to get a handle on it. So you could still spend that energy, get rid of a bit of the anger maybe, but you'd learn to control your breathing, you'd learn discipline, and you'd learn actually to manage yourself better, so that I didn't react like that.
Yeah.
And that's when I went into MMA and cage fighting as well,
Yeah.
So that was a good period, because I really learnt to sort of a little bit of a degree of self-mastery about my behaviour and my violence and my anger.
Right.
You know, and learned other ways to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In healthy ways.
Exactly. Not hurting other people.
Patrick,
Yes.
tell me, what commitments have you made in the past that you no longer believe in?
Good question, Sally. Yeah. I think off the top of my head, I'd probably say the Buddhist Act for Vows. People that know me quite well know that at one time I was seriously considering becoming a Buddhist monk. So I took my Buddhist Act for Vows. I spent months on retreat at Manjushri. I did a lot of retreats, and I did silent retreats, and I studied Buddhism and the texts in quite a lot of depth. And I used to know I could explain to you what the 10,000 armed Avalokiteshvara is, and Mahamudra and all these things. And now I can't remember so well, but yeah, now it doesn't mean that I might go back to that one day. I don't know, but I decided then that it maybe wasn't for me at that time, and I decided to go back into the matrix. So I spent months self-healing, really, because I'd had a nervous breakdown. And yeah, after doing a bit of work, a lot of meditation, I decided that I was going to come back into this world and re-engage, and there were lots of things I wanted to do. So yeah, the Buddhist Act for Vows properly, because I still meditate, but for 5 years I never missed a day. I never missed a single day. I meditated morning and night.
Did you really?
Yeah, and I was very, very peaceful. Whereas now I'm a little bit more edgy because I'm back in this this soup.
Yeah. And how does that make you feel then, knowing that that's what you used to do, and kind of you're in a slightly different place now?
I want to get back to that place.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult to sustain that and stay in this peaceful area. I mean, I'm not talking about being peaceful generally. I mean, I'm talking about being in bliss all the time and being very pure, spiritual. It's hard to maintain that and do a video podcast and a radio show and write a book and deal with friends and family and things. So that's why a lot of monks, there are some obviously engage with society, but a lot of them are at monasteries and in retreats and stuff, because to develop your spiritual practice, as the whole point of a retreat, it's to step back from normal life. And I want to go back to that. I'd love to go back to it, but not just yet. I'm quite busy and enjoying what I'm doing.
You are very busy. And the meditation, that's how we actually met.
It is, yes. And I remember seeing your smiley face, your ray of sunshine appear at one of the sessions.
It was a Sunday afternoon, and I was not in a good place back then.
Yeah.
But I came to this little meditation group, and I'll tell you now, I was in awe of you that day.
Really?
Yeah. I was almost like I was sat there like a little girl, like just watching this amazing guy talk about his meditation and his journey. And
where was that one?
It was a little cafe. Oh, what was the little cafe called?
Healthy Indulgence Cafe.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one.
Dawn's place. Yeah.
Yeah. So I left feeling very peaceful probably that day, because you taught us a few meditations. But
I was very lucky when I was teaching meditation, and I've only done the odd class last year. And it basically, if I'm approached, there's never money involved. If it's for somebody, a group of people that need help or want to learn to meditate, for example, then I'll usually do it. But it's not the norm for me now. And I did it to a point. I took it to a certain level, and I was at 80-20. I had a couple of classes there where there were 70 people in the class, you know. And
oh, wow.
I did 14 venues. I was going all over, as far as Rochdale, Manchester, Bolton, Chorley, Preston, all over the place.
You were in demand.
I was. Yeah, I was actually. But then I decided I wanted to do the book. And so I stepped back from doing that for a while, you know.
Yeah. Well, there's always time yet, Patrick, isn't there?
Yeah. But I think I need constantly to do new things. I need new challenges. And although the meditation's something, I'm very glad it's part of my journey, teaching the meditation. But yeah, there's other things I want to do as well.
So if you were to go back to a certain point in your life, where would it be, and what would you say to yourself?
Right. Yeah, it would probably be, it's drug related. And I think there's a few things I always say. Number one is that I don't think taking drugs is a crime. Okay, maybe it is, the legality's there, but as far as I'm concerned, it shouldn't be a crime. What you put in your body should be your choice. And some of the things you put in your body are good for you, some aren't good for you. Still your choice. You're a sovereign being and you should be able to decide what you put in your body. Some people take drugs, and certainly if they're taking them infrequently and certain kinds of drugs, you know, even plant medicines, for example, then I don't see that as a problem. Other people take drugs on a regular basis, and if it's certain kinds of drugs, I don't smoke cannabis, but some people do. I don't see that generally as a major problem. I think it's far better than drinking, for example. But then you've got your other drugs like cocaine and crack, spice, heroin, things like this. They're very damaging. I still don't think you're a criminal. You might need help, but you're not a criminal. You know, you're just somebody, for whatever reason, you're on a self-destructive path and you need advice and help and encouragement. You don't want putting in a jail cell. That just seems crazy to me. If I could go back to myself, the journey with drugs for me started off, and it was all fun at first. You know, I was clubbing, festivals, raving. It was all fun. Then I got into my 30s and probably early 30s, and then it became more destructive, where I was very unhappy. And consequently, I started taking more drugs and stronger drugs. And I'd go back and shake myself and probably just stop to taking the drugs 10 years before I did.
Yeah.
You know, if I could do that, I could have done a lot more with my life up to this point. But then again, it's part of my journey. I probably had to go through those lessons to learn, and that's given me the knowledge and wisdom I have now to either fix myself or help others.
Exactly. And I was just about to make that same point. I think whatever you go through in life, it's all part of your journey, isn't it? And I believe the things that I've been through, whilst they've not been great, it's happened to me for a reason. So you can pass that knowledge on, you can pass that wisdom on. So
you wouldn't be the same Sally Bolton you are now if you'd not had the trials and tribulations and the trauma.
Yeah.
Because of those, they've made you stronger, and they've made you the person you are, so that maybe you can recognise somebody that's going through that. And there's a lady who I've just got off the phone to from Ireland, actually. I speak to her once a week now, and she's having problems. She read my book, listened to my audio book, and she messaged me, and I thought, I will make time for this lady.
Is she your number one fan, Patrick?
Well, and she then, I've scheduled a call with her weekly now when we have a little 5-10 minute chat. She tells me how she's getting on, because she's got a few issues that were very similar to some of mine at one point. And yeah, you've got the skill set now, Sally, where you can recognise or help people that are going to go through what you've been through. And you can say, well, it's not good, but I got through it this way. You can share your lessons, can't you? You know?
And there's no judgment as well. And I think that's the one thing that I notice when I'm working with clients. That's one of the first things I say, look, there's no judgment here. There's none at all. Tell me what's going on. Tell me what's happening. Tell me how you've been feeling. And I think that puts people at ease straight away. Yeah.
A good point there I'd make is, I regularly liaise with 2 or 3 homeless people. I talk to them, give them money as well, but, you know, I talk to them, spend a little bit of time with them. There's one guy that I'm speaking to at the minute now. He smokes spice and he gets drunk. Now, a lot of people are judging for that and say, I'm not giving him money because he's spending it on drink. If I was on the streets and I was freezing my nads off, I'd probably take drugs. So you're not to judge. These people, and most of them have got mental health problems, or they've had a lot of trauma. And that's why they're in the position they're in. So to say that, you know, I'm not giving them money because it's for drugs, it's one of the few choices they have left. You give them the money. They might spend it on drugs, they might spend it on alcohol, they might spend it on food, but they can choose that. And if they want to have a drink and they're in that situation, so what? You know, I'd probably do the same.
Actually, you've made me think about that, because when I get asked...
Do you know what I've just realised?
Go on.
My glasses were on crunky like that for the last 10 minutes. I don't... Nothing I can do about that.
Brilliant.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you, Sally.
It's all right. No, you've just made me think, because whenever I get approached by a homeless person and they ask me for money, I often say to them, would you like some food? But now you've kind of made me think now that, you know what, it's actually none of my business. If I choose to give them money, then it's entirely up to them what they choose to do with it then.
Think of it like this. If 10 people give to them that day and they all give them food and they get 10 butties, they only need 2. So there's only so much food you can give somebody. And I think it's probably just feels they've got some choice left in life, some freedom, makes them empowered just a little bit. And like I said, if they want to spend it on booze, that's fine. You know what I mean? And I don't feel bad about giving them, even if they're going to spend it on booze, because like I say, especially in the winter when it's really cold, being on drugs or drink or whatever probably numbs the pain, and
Yeah.
and it's their choice.
Exactly.
You know, so.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for that. I'm going to remember that next time I see a
Okay.
homeless person. So I know that you read quite a lot, don't you?
I do.
So I want to know then, in that case, because I know that you've read many books, so you
Yes.
know lots of authors.
Yes.
So I want to know who are your top 5 authors?
Great question. One I really want to answer.
Aha.
Yes. Ooh. Okay. I don't really read fiction, but
Yeah.
there is one exception. Only one exception, and that's Paulo Coelho. And he's the author of The Alchemist, which is one of the best-selling books of all time. And it's about a young boy that goes to Egypt looking for treasure. And at the end, I won't spoil it for you, but he realises that the treasure was there all along and it's within. It is a beautiful story with wonderful characters, and it's so descriptive. Even though it's on paper, you can experience sounds and smells by
Yeah.
description. It's beautiful. And he also wrote The Devil and Mrs. Prim, which is this book that's built up and it's got this anticipation. And I don't think I've ever had a book get me excited before, you know. So Paulo Coelho, the only fictional author I read.
Yep.
Everything else is to do with wisdom and possibly self-help. You call it psychology as well, things like this. Wayne Dyer, absolutely on the top of my list. He's written... I don't know the final figure when he died, but I was very sad the day he died as well.
Yeah, it
really
was a
upset.
sad day, that.
Yeah, but I think he wrote between 36 and 40 books, something like that. And I'd read probably a lot of those books, you know, probably not every single one,
Yeah.
but beautiful man. And he's a great stepping stone. If you dive straight into, for example, Sadhguru or Patanjali, these are yogic mystics, it's probably a bit difficult to just grasp that at the beginning. This guy's somewhere in between. He's not enlightened, but he's very, very wise, a beautiful soul,
Yeah.
very spiritual. And if you read his books, it's a great stepping stone on your spiritual journey. It's one of the guys that got me on that path.
Yeah.
You know, fantastic. Eckhart Tolle, or Eckhart Tolle.
Oh, yes.
His first book, The Power of Now.
Yeah.
I've got all of these. I've got an audiobook, by the way, as well.
That's a great book, actually.
yeah.
Yeah, great book.
Eckhart Tolle had a nervous breakdown when he was younger, and that's how he got his wisdom and experienced, you know, enlightenment or different states of consciousness. And so it didn't happen on purpose; it happened by accident. But his wisdom is very profound, and The Power of Now has changed millions of people's lives. And just by bringing your attention inwards, it's sort of a meditation, really, but bringing your attention inwards and just detracting, switching off from the external noise and becoming still. You can solve most of your problems yourself. You've got that toolkit. All the answers you've got are within. It's just sometimes you need reminding.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
you need to know where to look. So we've had Paulo Coelho, Wayne Dyer, Eckhart Tolle.
Eckhart Tolle.
I'd probably follow in, this is a bit of a wild card, but Alan Carr, not the comedian, wrote a book, and it's called, I think it's called The Easy Way, Alan Carr's Easy Way, and he's a psychologist. And it is the most effective way to stop smoking. Forget your patches, forget your things you suck on.
The
all
vapes.
All of this. This book has helped somewhere in the region, I think it's between 80 and 100 million people stop smoking for good. And the book is a psychologist, and the way, rather than trying to just fight the addiction from nicotine,
Yeah.
he changes the way you think about it. And remember, all our reality, everything is self-created. Our mind creates our reality. So if you can think about a cigarette in a different way and decide that, actually, I don't want that,
Yeah.
then people stop. A lot of people read the book and don't read the last chapter, because they know when you read the last chapter, you light up a cigarette, put it out, and that's the last cigarette you're ever going to have.
Oh, right.
And so they get to the last chapter and never finish it. But yeah, very clever man. He's passed as well now, but not on my normal kind of reading list, but
Yeah.
brilliant. And then possibly maybe Geshe Kelsang Gyatso, who's the founder of the New Kadampa tradition in this country. So he and the Dalai Lama studied under, and I can't pronounce it correctly, but Rinpoche was the teacher. And then the Dalai Lama obviously became the leader of Tibet. And Geshe Kelsang Gyatso came over to the UK and founded the New Kadampa tradition. And he's written, again, 30 to 40 books, I think. They're the text for the New Kadampa tradition. I've studied most of his books. I think he's in his 90s now, and he very, very rarely makes a public appearance. He's still alive,
Yeah.
but a beautiful soul. And they reckon, or so I read, that, in Star Wars, Yoda,
Yes.
and he says, easy it was, and all this kind of thing.
Yeah.
That if he speaks in the opposite tense like that. And
Yeah.
they reckon Yoda was based on Geshe Kal-Sangyatso.
Really?
Yes, because he's just a beautiful little man, and when he speaks, but his sentences are sometimes back to front, and
Yeah.
it sounds like that.
Oh, how lovely. Oh, that's amazing. So do you still read a lot now, or because I know you're really busy with lots of stuff at the moment, is it something that's kind of not as much, or?
Yeah, I read occasionally.
Yeah.
I used to read avidly. I just read.
Yeah.
But I had more time on my hands.
Yeah.
Life is about balance, as somebody told me recently, and time management. So now it's audiobooks, because if I'm in the car,
Yeah.
or I don't generally, if I'm running, I don't listen to music, but sometimes if I'm walking, I listen to an audiobook. But you can do other things whilst you're listening to an audiobook.
Yeah.
And the best thing is, if you're on a car journey, a long car journey, I can do a book.
Yeah.
5 or 6 hours, something
That's
like
the
that.
beauty of
Yeah.
audiobooks now, isn't it?
It's easier
Yeah,
to do
exactly.
an audiobook. So,
Exactly.
So I don't read as much, but audiobooks, yes. I do
Brilliant.
a lot of those.
Now, you just mentioned music there.
Yes.
So I know that you and I have got another thing in common. We're both big lovers of music.
Yeah, we both recently, I purchased, and you've listened to, the Manchester Made Me Funky
Oh my God.
dongle.
Yeah.
It's awesome, isn't it?
It is amazing.
And you listened to it with me, didn't you, Sally?
I did.
Yeah,
It was
it's awesome.
amazing.
Yeah.
It took me back to those good old days when we were all out, we were all out.
Yeah, I really miss that. It's funny, when I could, I didn't, and now I can't. I want to.
know.
I really miss clubbing, and
So bad.
when we're on the other side of this situation, I desperately want to go to a festival.
I'm telling you, there's going to be one hell of a party somewhere.
I'm going to go back to Glastonbury, take all my clothes off, and dance around the stone circle in the moonlight like I did last time.
We
Yeah.
need pictures. We need photo evidence.
Yes, there was no photographic evidence, but yeah, I'd lost everybody. I went to Glastonbury, lost everybody.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was high,
Right.
for the whole weekend, and I'm not ashamed of that, and I loved it. It was
Yeah.
fun. And I'd lost everybody, and I heard this drumming in the distance, and I thought, oh, what's that? And I could see these lights in the distance, and at the top of this hill, there's a stone circle. So I thought, well, I'll just go and have a look.
You
Went
were
up.
drawn to it.
Yeah. People were like ripping the clothes off, and everybody's dancing around the stage. And I thought, I am having some of that. And I didn't know anybody, so it's not so bad, because it doesn't matter what you look like when you don't know anybody, does
No
it?
one cares.
Yeah. So off I went, and then a few hours later, I found my friends, and I didn't tell them what I'd been doing, but
You kept that one to yourself, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, well, next time we need photo evidence, for
Right.
sure, for sure. Anyway, so I'm going to ask you a series of questions. It's all about music. So I'm
Yeah.
going to set you a little scenario.
Okay.
And you're going to come up with your favourite song or the first thing that comes into your head.
Sure.
So the first one we're going to go with is, it's a nice sunny day.
yeah,
You're in your little Mini. You've got your shades on.
yeah.
You got the window down.
Yeah.
You're driving to the beach. What tune is playing?
I'm playing DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, Summertime. Absolutely. It's the ultimate summer record. There's a few,
Yeah.
but that's my favourite. I also like Getting Jiggy With It, Will Smith as well. I think
Yeah.
that's great, which is actually from The Greatest Dancer. It's sampled, isn't it?
That is a tune, isn't it? It's just a big tune. And do you know what?
Fantastic,
It
yeah.
never gets old. Whenever it comes on the radio, it's like you just turn
Crank
up
it
the
up,
volume.
open the windows, the sunshine. It's
Amazing.
Just, yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. Definitely. Okay. Song number 2.
Yes.
We're in the club.
All right.
The DJ drops the record.
Yeah.
You turn around. You run onto the dance floor. It's your tune. What is it?
Okay. It would be Bomfung MCs and Freestyler. Yeah.
Nice.
Now, it's not an out-and-out dance record. It's somewhere between sort of, I don't know, a funky dance record,
Yeah,
but
it is.
it's not what you'd hear in a lot of clubs.
Yeah.
But I went to Ibiza, last time we were in Ibiza, and we went in a club and there was nobody there.
Yeah.
And there was a group of us walked in, probably, I think there was about 8 or 10 of us walked in, and I went to the DJ and said, I want to hear this song. He said, well, I haven't got it. And I said, well, I'm telling you now, if you play that song for me, we'll fill this place. And because in Ibiza, a lot of the clubs as you walk past, you can see it.
Yeah.
So he downloaded it. I persuaded him to download it off the internet onto
Yeah.
a dongle, stuck it into the back of his decks, and he played it. And we all went mental. We went tits. And everybody walked past, and people started coming in. By the
Yeah.
end of that record, the club was full. There was about
No
200
way.
people from about 10.
Honestly.
That actually happened. We were there. It was, and everybody was jumping up and down. Yeah. Do you know the track?
I do know the track, and it's amazing the energy that, and this is why I love, and this is why we both love music, isn't it? The
Yeah.
energy that you get from.
What's brilliant about it, Bomb Funk MC's Freestyler, the intro to it is about over a minute long, but it's like Western music, like country Western music. So you listen to it, you think, what the hell's he playing? And then it goes,
And then it kicks in.
Freestyle kicks in from the top of my dome. Yeah, awesome.
I love that tune. That's quite old school, isn't it? But I love it. Okay, song number 3. It's early morning. You know you got to get up and go for a run. You put your little earphones in. You're going for your long run. What tune do you play to get you up and in the mood?
Okay, Bill Withers, Lovely Day.
Oh, now that's random. I was not expecting you to say that.
Yeah, something, I think so, yeah. It's a really feel-good record. I listen to
love
that and I think, yeah.
I love
just
that.
a nice energy, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So would that get you up and running? Would it get you in the mood?
Yeah, maybe if I really needed to get up and get going, I'd be putting something a bit more hardcore on, I suppose. I don't know. Maybe some rap as well. I listen to a lot of rap.
Oh,
You know,
do you?
as well. I listen to classical.
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of instrumental. I listen to a lot of chill out music.
Yeah.
I like some poppy stuff that I won't admit in public. S Club 7, Love Ain't Gonna Wait For You. Now, I know what you're thinking, S Club 7. However, I got a load of people back to my apartment and I used to have a pad, and every time we went out clubbing, we'd all pile back to mine, and there'd be anywhere between 10 and 20 people back at mine.
Yeah.
And we'd all get dressed up, we'd have the tunes on. They were fun times.
Yeah.
But we went back and I played this track and I told everybody, I said, just listen to it. And
Yeah.
everybody was up dancing.
Yeah.
Only when I told them who it was after, were they like, what you doing? And that. Nobody knew it was S Club 7. It's a really good dance track.
Oh, it's a dance track, is it?
Yeah, it's a dance track.
Oh, I've not heard that
But you've
one.
got to put it out your mind because we label S Club 7,
Yeah.
you think, no. But if I played it you and I hadn't told you who it was, you wouldn't know.
Oh.
Really good. And it's called Love Ain't Gonna Wait For You, and it's beautiful lyrics. In fact, Sally, after this show, I'm going to play it for you.
I was just about to say,
Right.
I've got to hear it now.
Right? I can play it. It's on my
Right,
iPad.
that's a deal. That's a
Okay.
deal. But S Club 7
Yeah.
in the club. Okay, so now we're talking. You're feeling a little bit teary. You're kind of just a little bit sad. What's the song that really kind of just gets you right there?
Okay. There's a few. Teardrops, Womack and Womack, because that reminds me of the first probably the first girl I thought I fell in love with at the time.
Yeah. How old
She was older than me.
was she now?
She
How
was.
old?
Older.
How old?
I don't know exactly. I think she's about 2 years older than me at the time, and I was 15 or 16,
Yeah.
something like that. But she also was seeing somebody else I didn't know. She
Right.
had a boyfriend,
Yeah.
and which she broke it off, and I was devastated at the time.
Mm.
And that record, I remember, being heartbroken. But then since that, they made the record into a dance record, and so
Yeah.
now it doesn't bother me as much.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Teardrops, Womack and Womack.
Yeah.
And then there's perhaps another one. This reminds me, a good friend of mine, Eddie Bernard, died last year, I think, the end of last year. And when Eddie passed, he always used to, it's a Stevie Wonder song, it's called Lately. And it's about, it's about a guy who realises that a relationship's not working and
Yeah.
that the love's going out of that relationship. Beautiful, but beautiful lyrics. But Eddie used to sing it all the time. Yeah, so Lately.
Those memories.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I've got a couple. I think the biggest one for me is that Freya Ridings track it was on Love Island a few years ago, and don't let that put you off.
I've never seen Love Island and I don't know the track.
And I can't even remember what it's called now. It's gone out of my head, but every time it comes on, it just for no reason. It's just a really sad song. That and London Grammar, Strong. That's a beautiful song.
Don't know that either. I'm so uncool.
Oh, well.
If it's within the last 5 years, I probably don't know it.
Right, well, we need a little music session after this, don't we?
We do, yeah.
And if you were to ever get married again, what would you walk down the aisle to?
Okay. Off the top of my head, there's a few I like, Lionel Richie and Stevie Wonder, and they've done some nice love songs and such.
Yeah.
But probably Better Together by Jack Johnson.
So your signature tune. So Patrick McBride walks into the room and this starts playing.
Hey, just the Fonz. Yeah. Then it would be Jason Derulo and Riding Solo. And for a long while, I just had that on repeat in my car for ages.
Yeah.
I loved it. Loved that track. So
I can hear it in my head now.
yeah, it's good. Really good.
It is a great tune. Okay, last one. What's your favourite throwback? And it can be any genre, any time.
I'm a huge fan. I know it's not PC and stuff, but I'm a big fan of rap music because it's part of, in my late teens when I was growing up. And
Yep.
so I do occasionally stick, NWA, Ice-T on,
Nice.
Ice Cube on. There's a track Ice Cube did called No Vaseline, and it's almost like 70s funk with the flute wrapped over, and the lyrics are totally not appropriate, and it's brilliant. Yeah.
Brilliant. I love it. That's really good. Okay, so what's the funniest thing that's happened to you recently?
Funniest thing recently. I won't give all the details of where I was, but I was with somebody and it was part of a ceremony.
Right.
And they started making animal noises.
Right.
And the lady will know who it is, and she was going, cacao, cacao. Not as in cacao the chocolate, as in like a
kind of bird.
Yeah, and also going, "Rrrr," and kicking her legs in the air. And I laughed for 20 to 30 minutes, solid.
I think I would
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Was she okay though?
She's fine. Yeah. Just in a process of change.
She was enjoying the moment, clearly.
Yeah. I like Diane G, when I did a radio show where they used the expression, I'm in a process of change. And I use that a lot. I think it's great. When you can't really explain something, or you were here, but you're on your way over here and you don't know exactly where you're at, you're just in a process of change.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Explains everything. It
It
gets you out of
does.
so much hot water.
Have you ever been in hot water, Patrick?
Of course. Yes. Yeah, I was in trouble when I was younger. I've been in trouble. Yes.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We've all got a past though, haven't we? Yeah.
Your past doesn't define you. It's just your view on your journey to the present moment.
Yeah.
That's all it is. you know.
Absolutely. With that in mind, like if you could go back to a certain point in your life, any point, like where would it be and what would you say to yourself?
When you start taking drugs, a lot of people do. My age group, that's what we did.
Mm.
I know people from other generations judge you for that, but they drank heavily. It's just a different time.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they're bad people.
In the 60s, they were all at it, weren't they?
Yeah, well, a lot of people were taking LSD then
Yeah.
and doing other things, but at that time as well, the culture was drinking, going to the pub.
Yeah.
In the 90s and 2000s, it was clubbing.
Yeah.
That's what people did. And they
Yeah.
went and they took ecstasy and cocaine and things like this. If I could go back and change things, or maybe not change things, but speak to myself,
Yeah.
I don't think I'd change anything about the early part of that journey because it was a lot of fun. And I
Yeah.
had fond memories. But the latter part of that journey, 10 years of fun and then 10 years of not so much fun. And that's when it became unhealthy and destructive. And so I'd go back and shake myself and say, snap out of this, you've got a life ahead of you, and maybe do things differently, because I could have been here a decade earlier, and the fun had stopped at that point. It wasn't so much fun. It
Yeah.
became unhealthy.
Yeah, absolutely. But you're all good now though, aren't you?
I am indeed, yeah.
That's good. That's good. If you could have one superpower, I love this question, but if you could have one superpower, what would it be? And then what would you do with it?
Initially, I would have said telekinesis, to move objects with my mind, to move matter, to influence the material world by thought. And then I realised we all do that anyway. We create our own reality. Your thoughts create your reality. And this is now proven with the slit experiment at, particle physics, subatomic physics. If you know anything about quantum physics and mechanics, you'll know that when they fire electrons they have a gun that can fire single particles, electrons. And if there's somebody in the room, it influences what happens to that. So on a subatomic level, at a quantum level, our thoughts create our reality. That's proven.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we do that anyway. We just haven't got mastery of it.
yeah.
So going on from that then, I would like to, I think if you had a superpower, it would just be simply to read somebody's mind.
Yeah.
Because nobody can bullshit you anymore.
And is that why?
Because I'd like to think, well, if you knew what everybody was thinking, you'd streamline your A team straight away, wouldn't you? You'd only surround yourself with people that are full of love.
So what would you do with that though then? Like you've got that one power, then what would you go forward and do with it?
When you're a kid, I remember thinking, oh, you can see through people's clothes and stuff. You're a kid, you know.
I know a few guys that say that now.
Well, yeah. But I think, yeah, definitely, if you had a power of any description, it seems crazy, but let's say you did, then to use that power for your own, you know, means is fine to a degree. But I mean, there's a lot wrong with this world. We need to fix it. And there's people that do have powers to fix it. Sadhguru is one of those people that's changing the world. He's possibly on a path like Gandhi was, where he's got massive influence now.
Yeah.
And he's making the world a better place.
Yeah.
And so I think anybody, an example would be, it's not a superpower, but if you won the lottery tonight, and it's 129 million on the Euro Millions, and you won that money, you do not need millions and millions of pounds. Even if, okay, keep 29 million, the other 100 million, you could end world hunger. You could do a lot of things. You could certainly put a big dent in it. You could change the lives of many people. And so if you had a superpower, if you had the ability, if you had that quantity of money, then I think it's your duty to help people. I mean, that's why we're here. That's your number one job, is to look after yourself first, because if you're not operating correctly, you can't work. If you're not operating well, if this isn't working properly, you're not going to be able to help other people. Yeah. But once you've got once you have a little bit of degree of inner mastery and you're operating well, then your second priority in your list, number one, number two is help other people.
Absolutely. So I mean, that's leading me on to a good question then. What would you do if you won the lottery?
There's lots of vulnerable groups, but the two groups that are most vulnerable for me are animals and children, you know. Yeah. And seeing anybody abuse an animal upsets me greatly.
Heartbreaking.
In any way. And I have seen it, and I then feel violence towards that human because this is a defenseless creature that expresses only love. Yeah. The same with the child. A child's born into this world, it's like a sponge. The child is growing and evolving at a very rapid rate. And you feed it love, you look after that child, and you put it in a nice environment, and it's soaking that up. Yeah. You feed it negativity, you mistreat that child, or you abuse that child, and that child is soaking that up. Yeah. And then that pattern quite often repeats later on in life, you know. Yeah. And so, yeah, it would be to help. Exactly which charity, I'm not sure. Yeah. But if I had a large amount of money, I'd like to keep some of it, you know, so that I can do what I love. Beyond that, the rest to put to good use, because you don't want to. One thing you don't want to do is die with 100 million quid in the bank. Absolutely. What would be the point in that? You've done nothing, and then as you die, half of it, 40% or 60%, will go to the government anyway. Yeah. Sod that. Spend it now. You know what I mean? Change the world. Do what you can. Make it a better place. It's your duty. Absolutely.
I went to Sri Lanka on my honeymoon years ago, and they've got a real problem with dogs over there, just wild dogs. Yeah. And I saw one day, and it was this tiny little puppy, and I'd gone to visit a temple, and it was the tiniest little thing, and it broke my heart, Patrick. Yeah. And I cried. This is how empathic I am. I cried for about half a day. And then from that day onwards, I said, if I ever won the lottery, that's what I would do, is I would set up a big dog's home in Sri Lanka. And, you know, amongst other things, of course, depending on how much I'd won. But
I'd been conditioned for a long time as I've grown up to not get attached to people, right? Because I moved around a lot and for other reasons. And so I was able to detach, right? It's like a self-preservation mechanism, I think, you know, it's to protect yourself. Yeah. And then we recently got a dog, Bruno, a Chihuahua, and I fell in love with him straight away. Just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful little man. And then, unfortunately, 4 weeks in, Willow's had allergies with dogs before, but they've always been long-haired dogs when they molt. Yeah. 4 weeks in, even though he was short-haired, the allergy flared up, rashes and eyes watering, not being able to sleep and so on. And so he's now at a place called Rockwood, which is a farm in Wales where they train dogs for television. So I remember talking to somebody crying, just saying, he's going to be a movie star. He's going to be a movie star. But I let my guard down and I got attached to Bruno, and it broke my heart. I couldn't stop crying for a week. I'm a grown man. And I've had several people die this year. I've not shed a tear, you know, because I accept death. But that connection I had with him was
Yeah.
so strong, you know, and yeah, so yeah, I love dogs.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on the dogs.
Mm.
So one last question, Patrick.
Sure.
And you've probably already answered this, but what is your motto for life?
I think the one that I use, two that I use most often is, first of all, just a day at a time. Take it a day at a time. If you look too far ahead, it can be overwhelming when you see all the things that you've got to overcome. Just get through the day. If you're having a bad day, just take it an hour at a time and just get through the day. A day at a time. Breathe. A day at a time. Tomorrow is another day.
Absolutely.
And the second one is that it's all just a dream anyway. If you take life too seriously, it will kill you, you know. If you take it dead serious, it will kill you. You have to laugh. You have to laugh at yourself. You have to see the funny side in everything, no matter how dark times get,
Yeah.
you've got to laugh.
Yeah.
Laughter is the best medicine. And so, yeah, there's nothing wrong with finding something funny. It's healthy.
Yeah.
I laugh at myself all the time. I'm a bloody fool.
That's why we get on so well.
Yes.
That's brilliant. Well, thank you, Patrick.
Been my pleasure.
I've had a blast.
Sally, you've you nailed it. Well done. And I've really enjoyed that. I feel good because I sort of get it, rather than just hosting the show, I get a
Yeah.
turn, you know, so
Yeah.
it felt good.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. Good luck to your other hosts. And thank you, everyone, for watching. And see you very soon. Shalom.
Boo!
Boo!
You nailed it. Awesome.